Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Dawn of Discussion with your favorite hosts. Your only hosts. You don't really get to choose. We're here. Hello.
Yo! Hello, everybody. Uh, hope you're well. And if not, well, tough titties, we can't really help.
Yeah, we can't help with that.
But we hope that maybe we can provide some much needed and necessary entertainment.
Yes, and most importantly, distraction.
So things to talk about today. We
Mm-hmm.
had, well, two things from what I can remember. First of which, I guess we should talk about Space Jam, because we recently
Yes,
just watched Space Jam.
we did go to see it yesterday. Uh, and at the time when we finished watching it, I said I felt conflicted, and that I would probably have a more like a more concrete opinion today. And I regret to inform you that that's still not the case. I'm still going back and forth actively.
Yeah.
Let me break it down for you. The film itself, right? Ask me if I liked it, and my answer shall be I did, because I did enjoy it and I had fun.
Yeah.
Um, However, there are some infuriating and very questionable things about it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Like, the thing is, like, there
Hi,
were points
nerds.
when
Hey, Tammy. You're just in time. We just
yeah,
started talking about Space Jam.
and the train wreck it was, the glorious train wreck that for some reason you know you shouldn't watch, but for some reason you can't help but not turn away from.
Yeah, once you're there, you kind of, well, you've paid for the ticket, so you kind of obligated
Well,
to.
we didn't,
You need a
but
drink? Okay, well, go get a drink. We'll be right here. We're not gonna stop, but we'll be right here.
but yeah, I like. I'll be honest, I enjoyed the film, but I didn't like it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does.
I mean, it doesn't, I guess, because it's one of those things where I watched it and go, you know what, it did entertain me, but it entertained me for all the wrong reasons. I guess that's the issue.
Yeah, I had the same problem, and I actually, to help clear up my feelings about the film, I decided to like read a couple of reviews, which didn't help, um, because they were really conflicted at times. There were a lot of people who said, well, people saying this film isn't very good, but then I'm gonna turn on the light actually because this is not looking great.
Yeah, actually,
Uh,
no, I'm not relatively okay now.
so they said like, well, this film isn't great, but people who say that don't realize that the first one wasn't great. To which I say, no, 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 the first one was great. Don't get
Yeah,
those two conflated. Um,
yeah,
Also, it was pointed out that this wasn't necessarily the sequel to Space Jam because initially they were planning to do it back in 2003, but they couldn't decide which sport they wanted to do. So they decided to just make Looney Tunes Back in Action instead with Brendan Fraser, which I do remember wasn't a great
yeah.
film, but with
But
nostalgia goggles, everything is fantastic.
yeah, that's the thing, because it's one of those, like, weirdly with that film, I know it's not good,
Yeah,
but I still enjoy it. But I think it's because that was Brendan Fraser before just shit went wrong with everything,
yeah,
and Bugs and Daffy were actually made to be a major part of the film. Like there were
yeah.
highlights of it.
And they were really good in it too.
Yeah,
Whereas in this film, I don't know if it's just because we grow up in a way, but like there were some bits where they were doing like the classic Looney Tunes like lol silly toony kind of action where someone just gets hurt. And at some point it just got a little bit much. Like it just kind of kept
yeah,
happening and it's like this would entertain a child and I understand that's the point of this. But also, I'm not particularly entertained by this anymore.
yeah,
I don't know what it is, but like some bits still kind of worked. Some bits I don't know. And more than anything, like that's just kind of the problems with the Looney Tunes kind of aspect of it, which is like maybe 80% of it, so like the large chunk. But you look at the other um, you look at the other 20%, and that's just Warner Brothers essentially flexing.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the reviews I found is basically like alternative names for this film. Um, we were thinking about that last night as well. The correct answer I found is Ready Player Space Jam.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, because literally like a lot of characters that were there in Ready Player One and the whole like thing with Ready Player One was like the various Easter eggs and stuff like that to video games and Warner Brothers content. Um, this film, it wasn't meant to be the point, I don't think, but it ended up being the point. Also, okay, back decided
Yeah.
to make garlic bread because I could not develop the taste for alcohol in time. Well, what do you mean? Like, were you trying to make alcohol from scratch? Because that takes years.
Yeah.
Like, what was that sentence mean? Um,
Who knows?
I don't know. Like, and some of the IPs that they used were honestly downright questionable.
Yeah. It was
Like,
like part of me really wanted to like the like all the Easter eggs or what I don't even want to call them Easter eggs because the point of an Easter egg is meant to be hidden. You know, you're meant to really look for it, but for a lot of that, it was just like, oh, here it is, the front and center of the film.
to be fair, I like Easter eggs as well when it's like right there in your face, and it's like
Yeah,
only if you've seen like a particular thing you'd know what this is.
yeah.
But like a lot of it is like, well, they passed like the Harry Potter. What the fuck is happening outside?
Uh, it is torrential downpour.
Well, there's nothing
That's what
happening
it
here. Like,
was.
what the hell is, bro?
1 second, please, ladies and gentlemen, bear with us.
This is this is madness. Rain, yes, but like, look at that.
That is like a tropical torrential storm, my friends.
So it's heading my way. So my whole idea of like walking to the tube station has just become a bad idea.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna take a fucking bus. Um, but yeah, basically like they're like I'll be honest, like I chuckled when they had these like Easter eggs or like references or
yeah,
situations. But like
yeah.
with some of them I was like, "Huh, that's funny." Until I realized this is not a family like this isn't a family film. This is a kids film.
Yeah,
And then I started feeling awkward about it. It came from Edgware Road. Oh, I
yeah.
didn't know rain comes from a very specific tube station.
Anyway, because
Um,
like the thing is, like for me, I laughed at parts of it, but I think the thing is, all kids' films technically should, like all the good ones, are family films in general.
yeah,
Like Pixar films are family films; they're not kids' films; they're family films because parents can enjoy them. Or if they don't because they're animation, then parents are uptight and need to fucking get the stick out of their ass.
yeah, but that's why there's very like very specific like films that are still kids films
Oh
and
yeah,
films
yeah,
that are family films, and I feel like this one tried to be in the family category, but still trying to be a kids film.
yeah,
But it didn't like it's kind of like trying to track your audience because kids today, like, yeah, they'll watch it, but most of them haven't seen Space Jam.
yeah.
I don't think. And if they
Which
did,
is
they probably wouldn't appreciate it as much. I don't try to sound like, you know, oh, that millennial, the 90s, that kind of person,
yeah,
but like it, I mean, that's how I feel. And it
and the
stopped.
rain is gone. Yeah,
The- It's been like this all day, and it's
it has been.
infuriating.
I went out for a walk earlier today, and I fucking got caught in the rain, and I looked up and I actually said, "Fuck you, God," because at that point it's just like he's just being a prick.
You know
Make the
what's
weather
funny?
one
No,
thing,
do you know
either
why?
rain or no rain.
Do you know why? It's because he was
Why?
nice to me. Because I left work, it wasn't raining, got onto the tram, started raining, left the tram, rain stopped.
Fuck you.
Well, look, if only you were also a man of faith, you know, maybe he'd care, you know? Maybe he'd care. I'm
I
just
am a man
saying.
of faith. I worship all the gods.
Well, clearly not the right one. Um,
Anyway,
Anyway, before this theological conquest becomes real, um, yeah, I don't know. It
like,
felt like it was trying to remain a kids film, but somehow
yeah,
incorporate Game of Thrones.
yeah, because that was the issue I had when like and with Rick and Morty and
Yeah,
all these other, because all the references that were in here were like, and I thought about it, not as like they had the only one that felt like a reference that was from something kid friendly was from the animated series of the Justice League when all the Justice Leaguers showed up. I thought, oh,
yeah,
okay, that's all right. But then
they,
Rick and Morty showed
yeah.
up, Game of Thrones showed up. There was one other one that was like, that's not kid friendly. Oh, the Matrix showed up, and I was just like, no,
No.
none of these
Oh,
are kid
Mad
friendly.
Max. They had Mad
Mad
Max in
Max,
there. It's like
Mad
what?
Max.
Like now you're just flexing over nothing.
And like the thing is, they they had the Iron Giant in it as well, but yeah,
Yeah, but
I'm so
again,
excited.
like here's the thing, right? Let's compare two things in the last couple of years that had the Iron Giant in it.
Yeah,
Ready Player One was
and
clearly targeted for young adults, right?
yeah,
Maybe like just like teens, maybe, but like predominantly young adults.
yeah,
With all of the
mainly
references
us.
that went through the thing. So
Yeah,
people who watch that film will probably have seen the Iron Giant and will probably have seen King Kong in like the Peter Jackson version, and they will have seen or they will have played Mortal Kombat and stuff like that. So that kind of works. But with this
mhm,
one, I can't tell because again, all of the characters um that that's the thing. All of the characters in the DC universe, they didn't resemble necessarily their Justice League version because some of them were still slightly off. They resembled more
yeah,
their own animated series
yeah, like
versions.
Batgirl and Superman, whereas the others,
Yeah, and
yeah,
Alfred and
Alf,
Superman and Clark Kent and Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane, they were all just
yeah,
fucking crammed in there. But they had the look that they had in the '90s, early 2000s. They don't
yeah,
they don't have that look anymore. Like
yeah. It
Aquaman,
was,
like Aquaman. Actually,
yeah,
Aquaman, I didn't see him. Did he actually look like his version in Justice League, or did he
yeah.
look like his version in Super Friends?
In the Justice League Unlimited series,
Okay, so he still had like the goatee
the
and the
beard and the hand cut off. Yeah, he was in the
yeah.
bit when the train was catched by Superman, and then
Oh
Superman flew up
yeah,
and all the Leaguers showed up on this over
yeah.
the top. Yeah,
He looked like the old school one. Okay, well no, actually the Super Friends one is the old school one. No one
yeah.
is ever gonna make Super Friends Aquaman a thing ever again.
Oh, so I mean, you say, I'll be honest, Aquaman from the Justice League Unlimited series was Aquaman, Jason Momoa as Aquaman before Jason Momoa was
Yeah,
Aquaman,
no,
if
that
that
was
makes
actually a
sense.
really cool Aquaman.
That
Like,
was because he was no shit taking, just
yeah,
fucking
no nonsense, King of Atlantis.
kicking ass and taking names, cutting off his
Yeah,
own hand to save his own damn son. I
I
mean,
mean,
you can't get more badass than cutting off your own goddamn hand to save your own goddamn son.
no,
And
no,
just sort
that's
of,
family.
that's family.
That's family. Um, what else was in? Yeah, everything else was like. I'll be honest, like the montage they did where they went to the various universes and picked up the tunes um, from the various like IPs. I enjoyed that. I thought it was really funny, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it was like again, I don't know what demographic you're catering to because
I think,
no child will have like no child today, no 12-year-old today will have seen the Matrix unless their
yeah.
parents like told them to watch it like when they were younger because they're like, oh, this is great. But I don't think most kids will pick up the Matrix and go
Yeah.
like, oh, this looks cool. Let's watch this.
Yeah. Because I think the thing, like, the issue is I have looking at um all these IPs that they were throwing in there. And I thought, I appreciate all these and laugh. And then at the very end of the day, I was like, you know what? No, I still think I liked them. I liked all the IPs. I didn't care
Yeah,
about what demographic they were reaching to because I enjoyed it. But then I realized it's sad to realize the best parts of your film are all the little in gags
yeah,
and none of the main writing. Like all the main proper jokes, like when LeBron James flew up and he was going to shoot the hoop, but grabbed the power up and he hit the force field wall and then slid down. I was like, that wasn't funny to me. And
that
that's like
that
classic.
wasn't funny.
That
But
was classic Looney Tunes, and that wasn't funny to me.
I will say after that, when the announcer said, "Oh, hitting a force field hurts," and I've experienced that, I did chuckle a little bit because it's like,
I chuckled at that.
okay,
I
that's
chuckled
that's
at that.
funny enough. But like that's the thing is like there were a couple of things that kind of made me laugh, but like for the most part, it was like like the whole bit of like where he was like on the sideline with the White Walkers and Batman and Robin and Catwoman and agents
Vic-
Agent
Agent
Smith,
Smith,
yeah,
yeah,
was
and
there as
Victor
well.
Freeze, the Penguin.
Two versions of the Penguin, by the way.
Yeah, let's be honest. Everyone was there. Literally
Yeah,
everyone was in the crowd.
and it didn't do anything for me, to be honest with you. Like it was like, oh, okay, cool. I guess they're here or something. But it's like,
The issue is I had with all those people in the background. I thought that's actually very distracting because I'm spending more time looking at the crowd
yeah,
than actually trying to watch the film properly, which I think can ruin the film. Which, in all honesty, it kind of did for me because I thought, you know what, you were better off not having a
yeah,
crowd like that, as obvious as it was, because now it kind of feels like you're wanting people to watch what's in the crowd for the Easter eggs.
yeah. I also feel weird about the fact that it's like, so you assembled all of these tunes to re-engage the Toon Squad, right?
Yeah.
Um, but at first he had like really interesting ideas of like who you could recruit for a team. I'll be honest, if Superman were actually asked, would you like to join a basketball team to save the universe, he would probably say yes.
He would say yes. In fact, probably a good chunk of the Justice League would have said yes.
I mean, Batman wouldn't.
No, he would
He'd
just
be,
say, "That's stupid," and
no.
then leave.
Batman would be like, so you're putting together a team? I'll be the manager.
Is it weird
You
now?
mean,
I kind of want like a Justice League parody where this is the exact same film as this one, but it's just the Justice League.
but
So
Batman did not
Superman
appear?
is Superman
Batman
is
did
the
appear.
yeah, he
Batman
did.
did in fact appear.
1966 Batman appeared
Yes.
in the
And
crowd.
also no, animated Batman did not appear, did he?
No, he
I'm not
did not.
entirely sure.
Alfred did.
Also,
Alfred
can
did.
they even play basketball? Obviously. I bet
I
that Flash
mean,
can dribble like nobody's business.
yeah. Yeah, it's such a weird film.
Yeah. And
Like
I still like I'm trying to think of like what do you mean obviously? Because if they can defeat Darkseid, I am
they can
sure that
play
they can play
basketball.
ball. Have you actually seen any of them do sports?
Yes,
I've seen Flash do a 100-meter track.
and
Does
I've
that count?
seen Superman Clark Kent in Smallville play basketball with a couple of his friends.
Boom. There you go. Batman does
And
sports actually.
I think Green Lantern also played, well, not played, but he was like with some kids playing basketball, and he like shot a hoop or something. He may
Cyborg
have
was a
missed, to be
football
fair.
player.
Cyborg also was a football player. Yeah, Cyborg was a
American
football player.
football, but we don't judge.
I do.
Uh, I mean, to be
What?
fair,
What?
being able to fight crime does not mean they and sports. This is on screen now. We can't do much about this.
Able to fight crime does not mean they in the sport at a sports.
Yeah, we do judge. To be fair, like saying American football, but we don't judge is kind of a judgmental statement in itself. I
It is a
realize.
very judgmental statement.
Um,
It's you pretending not to draw attention to the name of the
yeah,
sport.
being able to fight crime does not mean they can sports. Uh,
I think it does.
I think it does. I
Because
think I think it means they
here's the
can
thing,
sports better than we can.
and here's the thing to remember, you never know what the villains will one day cook up. You never know that the Legion of Doom could knock on the Justice League's door and say, "We challenge you to a game of basketball," and the League is just like, Superman just rips off his Superman costume, is now just wearing like a basketball uniform, is just going, "I'm ready." It's like, how did you know? I'm always ready for anything. He just rips it off again. It's just baseball. Then he rips it off again, and then it's soccer, proper football.
Football.
Rips it off again, and it's American football. And he just keeps going. And like, all right, we get the point. You're always ready.
Yeah, you fucking Boy Scout. Yeah, but most evil dudes are kind of unhealthy, unathletic. You'd be
No, they're really
surprised.
not.
You'd be
They're really not.
surprised. And also, you'd not be surprised, actually.
Like,
They lean on their smarts more than anything? No. No, most of them simply don't.
I mean, yeah, a good chunk of them, like, very few of them really do. I mean, Batman villains, sure, I guess, but even then,
Even
not
then, like,
really.
they're still, like, iterations of Grundy are simply not smart.
Yeah.
Bane is not particularly known for his intellect.
But he's actually not an idiot. He's actually
He's
quite
not an idiot, but he doesn't rely on his brains.
yeah.
Um,
Joker is not well. He's it's weird to say if he's smart or not because he is extremely
he's
cunning.
ridiculously intelligent.
Yeah, Luther's intelligent, but he's also not fucking fat. For Christ's sake, he
I mean,
is
he does
quite.
use a suit.
But I mean, when you're fighting Superman, you kind of have
I
to.
mean, you do, yeah. But like,
But,
you guys think supers can do anything, including sports? I don't. I'm
yeah.
not saying anything, but yeah, if they set their mind to it, I
Anyway,
think
this is a topic
this is
for another day.
no.
Stop
I
stressing
want
it
to
out.
I want to see the next version of Space Jam, and it's the Justice League versus the
Yes,
Injustice League,
yes. For the
or the
fate of
Legion
the
of Doom,
universe.
even for the fate of the universe. Yeah.
It's just, and it should be like a parody, like Super Friends version, where it's Darkseid from the Super Friends going, Superman, I challenge you to assemble a team and we will play basketball. And Superman goes, Ah, Darkseid, you evil fiend. Ah, you wish to play us at a game of basketball? Unthinkable.
I
But we
could have
shall.
sworn that they did like an Olympic thing at some point. Like
They've done anything you can think of, they've done it by now.
um
Whoa, that was weird.
yeah.
Something happened on stream.
I opened I opened my
You
browser.
You disgusting son of a bit. What did Tammy just say? Oh, dance off. That's the Guardians of the Galaxy thing. I don't think the Justice League should do a dance off. It should be the Guardians who do it. Whatever it may be.
I want them to be challenged to the dance off. You know what? I hate to say this, but I think Batman would do pretty well in the dance off.
You're only saying that because of the 1966 version of Batman.
No, not even the animated version.
Did he dance at some point?
I don't know, but he did sing at some point and it blew everyone fucking
He
away.
is not dancing. Actually, he is very acrobatic, so he probably could actually dance relatively well. I hate to say he's not that stiff. I mean, well, he's stiff in certain areas for certain people, but
Yes.
but anyway,
I'm looking up Justice League sports on Google, but all I find is Zack Snyder's Justice League 2001. I don't care about that.
nah, let's 2001.
Oh, wait. Justice League basketballs for sale. Now, why would they sell basketballs
If they're
for the
not
Justice
doing a
League if they can't do
basketball
sport?
film.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking.
Anyway, you had a question earlier on about Space Jam.
I did.
You and Tammy were considering.
I did. So basically, like not ordinary people, but decent people. We stayed through some of the credits.
I've got to be honest, it's a really shitty thing just to say about people. Like decent people, we sat through the credits.
Well, look, I like to be condescending.
I've noticed.
You guys think dancing is easy to get nerds to exercise? No, that's not what we're saying. I don't like dancing, and I don't think it's easy.
No, we can't exercise, but Batman can. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's no
Anyway,
longer the
what
point.
my point is, we sat through some of the credits, and here and there we were like ironically clapping for a couple of people, and at some point, this particular credit came up for 4 people. Now I don't remember exactly their name, although I'm pretty sure one of them was named Mark, but they were credited as gang bosses, and I don't like. What does that mean? Like, why is a gang boss mentioned on a film? And so at that point, I just thought it was very funny to, like, every time that there's something wrong with the film that doesn't make any sense and doesn't add up, to just say that's where the gang bosses come in. Because I genuinely don't know where they come in. Like, was this film funded by gangsters? Was Don Cheadle held hostage? Like, what exactly, like, what exactly does a gang boss do on a film?
So, do you want to hazard a guess before I tell you the truth? Tell you what it is.
I mean, when I think gang, I actually.
I was going to say, Tammy, feel free to guess as well.
I'm gonna say maybe he's like, they're bosses of several gangs in the area, and of shooting, and they told them specifically to tell their gang to not, not ruin the shoot, and in exchange they get a credit on IMDb. I don't know.
What a gang boss is.
Yeah.
What does a gang boss do? Film gang boss do? Though the title might make you think that someone who breaks bones and makes people deal they can't refuse, make people the deal they can't refuse. In reality, a gang boss on a film set is more of a project manager. As a gang boss, you work with the construction crew of a movie, making sure everything on the set gets built exactly the way it should. In other words, they kind of run the overall set, I think, by the sounds of things, like the construction of the set and the management of where certain things go. So yeah.
What a that is a weird name. Why not just call it head of art department or something like that?
They were originally classed underneath the art department, but I don't know. I'm guessing maybe it's getting its own thing. Who knows?
How do you know this? He's clearly reading it out.
Oh, I'm reading it from Google, Tammy. You said you're still looking up what it is, Tammy. It took me all of 5 seconds.
So a gang boss is literally someone who runs the construction
The
of a
sets.
of a set.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's pretty much all it is.
Sounds like an easy enough title to acquire.
Probably is, to be fair. But yeah. Ah, man. Space Jam was.
It was an interesting experience.
It was a experience.
I'll be
Yeah.
I'll be honest. The real question that always lingers with me with a film that is bad but you still enjoyed it is the question of whether you think you would ever be if you would ever like rewatch it or anything.
Yeah, whether you would watch the film again.
Yeah.
I don't think I will. Not Space Jam. Not Space Jam 2.
I think I might one day. I don't know if I'd enjoy it the second time round. But
Yeah,
I might rewatch it one day. Like
that's true. I might rewatch it at some point, but not this anytime soon this year or next year.
if I ever meet someone and they say like, "Oh, I've seen the first one but not the second one, but I still really want to watch it." It's like you're going to need someone to hold your hand through this.
Mm,
Because if you really like the first one, then this one might be a little bit of a shock.
yeah.
Just a bit.
And before we move on to something else that we wanted to talk about to do with film, I will say the last thing that the film confirmed to me was LeBron James should not have an acting career
Yeah.
at all.
Because
He was honestly god awful throughout most of that film. His acting was very robotic.
Because he was in one other film before this, wasn't he?
Was he?
I don't know. No, he was in several. My
Huh.
bad.
But was he properly in the films, or were they just cameos?
That I don't know because I've not actually seen any of these films.
Oh, random note about the film, something that kind of bothers me. So I just looked up like LeBron James's family because I was curious about their names.
Sure.
And the thing that bothers me about this film is that not a single one of the characters that is a member of his family in this film is actually named after any of his children.
Yeah, that's a bit weird. I'm not quite sure
So
why I would do that.
his wife's name in the film is Kamaya James, I think.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
His wife's actual name is Savannah.
That is such a weird thing to do.
Yeah. And of course, none of his children's names line up. There's Bryce Maximus James, which actually Maximus is a fucking cool
Maximus
name.
James is a great name, to be honest with you.
Yuri James, ZHURI, Yuri James, I think. And then LeBron James Jr., because there's always got to be a junior.
Why would you use his actual family's information? Because it's accurate. I mean, let's be honest.
Also, if they're saying, "Oh, we didn't use it for privacy reasons," it's like, mate, Google exists. Everyone can just look up his family.
Also, like, it's not a documentary about his life. Yeah, but in in the first Space Jam, did they actually use like the information about Michael Jordan's family?
They might have actually.
Because it
Let's
wouldn't
take a look.
surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Because they're not bastards like that, and Michael Jordan. Oh yeah, by the way, Michael Jordan was in this film, but not the one that you wanted. Whoops. Guess they got the wrong one. Why would they use their real family's names? I mean, you got the guy. Like, why would you create this whole other life for this person that only exists in this film?
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me. Like, was he trying to escape from real life when all he wants was to keep his head in the film? Because it's a film. Yes, okay. So why is he still called LeBron James in the film then? Like, if he's not gonna have his actual family there, just call him something else. Just call him John. I don't know. Like, give him a different name. How is this weird? I don't understand. I don't understand this argument. If you're okay, look. Fair enough. Do you know what? Fair enough. I guess in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, you had Will Smith, and none of his family was actually in the film. Like, his mother wasn't played by his mother and had a different name and everything, so it's not based on his real life and everything. However, in the show, he was called William Smith, and in real life he's called Willard. So it's a different name. So I can
Oh.
accept that reality. But LeBron in real life is still LeBron in the film. Same name.
So here's the thing. Just looked it up. Michael for Space Jam, the first one. I'll list off the names of the children that were supposed to be in the film, the character names: Marcus Jordan, Jeffrey Jordan, Jasmine Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
He has a daughter called Jasmine Jordan, a son called Marcus Jordan, and a son called Jeffrey Jordan. So they used his actual children's names.
What's so hard about that?
Yeah.
No, Fresh Prince was called Will because he wanted people to remember his name. His character was not meant to be called Will. I'm aware of this. I know that he came up with the name. However, I would have a problem with it if it was like actually meant to be Will Smith, like in the. Look, I wouldn't have a problem with it because at the end of the day, everyone calls him Will, regardless whether it's Willard or William. But like, you
Yeah.
know, it's in this case, it's like also Will Smith was a nobody back then. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
He was like this rapper out of Philly that
Yeah.
everyone was kind of like, who are you? Whereas LeBron James is, an athlete, an influencer, a big man, a moneymaker, a fucking what you call a philanthropist, but a ball player. Because let's be
Most
honest,
importantly, all.
that's what he's ever going to be famous for. Um, if Michael Jordan can have his kids' names in the film, then so can LeBron James.
Yeah.
Why would this bother? I mean, to be absolutely honest with you, it would bother me more if I actually cared about LeBron James. But the truth is, I really don't, because I'm not into basketball. I don't particularly care about basketball players all too much.
Oh. And in the first Space Jam, his wife's name is actually once again same as his actual wife at the time.
So what's so difficult about that?
Yeah, I don't know.
What's the point of making up this whole new family for LeBron James? It's like LeBron James needs to talk to his family or something. Maybe like mention that he doesn't want to be part of their team anymore. I don't know.
Oh. Sorry. Anyway.
Also, can I just say, you know how like the wrong Michael Jordan was in this film?
Yeah.
I think this may have been like one of those inserts akin to Bill Murray in the first film, where he just happened to be on set. So it was like, oh shit, shoot a scene with us, and then they kind of like improvised the entire scene around it. I don't think that was planned.
Okay.
Remember in the first film where like Bill Murray just fucking showed up out of nowhere?
Yeah, but he was in like several scenes though.
Yeah, but the whole story about the scene that he did was the fact that he just happened to be on set.
Okay. Okay, interesting.
But why would he want to use his family? Because he loves them, and he would not rather not pretend that he's in a different family when he plays himself.
He's also just now ousted his secret family that his real family never really knew about till now.
They watch the film, they're like, "That's
Wait
not
a
my
second.
name. What's going on?"
You said your family would be in this film, LeBron.
Dom, Dom, who the fuck is Dom? My name is Junior. What
Uh,
the actual ass, Dad?
uh, what a bizarre film.
To be fair,
If
that's
we
a
can see.
nitpick. I'll admit that's a nitpick.
It is a bit of a nitpick. I'll admit it to it as well. But it's one of those nitpicks that will infuriate me because like the first film did, moving on to more shit now to talk about. Uh,
I now think you guys are messing with me. No!
about what? That this bothers us? Yeah. Like I said, moving on. One thing we want to talk about because
Hmm.
it's something that's fucking. It's been bothering me for a while now, and I think it's been bothering you. Just how crappy cinema goers are now these days.
Oh boy. Yes. It really bothers me and I want to talk about this.
Yeah.
Um
So, just a brief little prelude to this. What we've gone to see
it was
two
Space
films
Jam
together now.
yesterday and then it was Fast and Furious
Godzilla,
last week.
Fast and Furious last week, and then Godzilla versus Kong, which I think Godzilla versus
Godzilla
Kong
vs Kong was a while ago though.
that was a while ago, and I think the audience though was good in that. To be
Yeah,
fair,
that's fine.
it was great. But in so with Fast and the Furious 9 going into it first, because that was the first film we saw recently,
Yep.
was a kid literally in the row in front of us who, for whatever reason, decided to try and start recording the film.
Yeah. Was that a kid?
Yeah,
Because in the dark I couldn't tell their age, to be absolutely honest
no,
with you.
I'd say maybe teens,
Oh,
but yeah,
Jesus, yeah.
um,
Yeah, that
and I'm
was
pretty
bold.
sure yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, Tammy, he did, and
I don't know if you remember this, but at some point, guy tapped the guy on his shoulder. That was why.
so that was the reason why I leaned forward and tried to make it apparent that I was there first because I thought I'm not going to touch this kid first. I'm going to give him a chance to at least spot me and see me go turn it off
Yeah.
before I decide, you know what, enough, enough. I'm going to tell him to fucking stop recording the film, and I probably should have reported him because you get $1,000 reward, £1,000 reward, but
I
yeah,
mean, it's a bit. I guess it's a bit harsh to report them if they like try it and you stop it in time. But at
yeah,
the same time, like if he had tried again, then yeah, fucking report him and share the
yeah,
winnings.
yeah. Sharing the winnings. I'm the one
Hmm?
who fucking told him to stop.
Yes, but you work there. You have the obligation to do so. I didn't have the obligation to do so until I knew that there was a monetary
I mean,
reward.
yeah, to be
So
fair, Tammy, you were, I think, sitting like it was me, I think, then Ron, then you, right? Then Tammy, right?
I
So I
think I
think
think
me
Tammy
and
was sitting at
Ron,
the aisle. Yeah.
yeah, so Tammy didn't notice because I think you were sitting in the aisle and you just didn't have the area to notice. But yeah, me, me and Ron definitely were like,
Yeah. Because it's a weird thing. Like, you don't do
yeah,
that.
I think I shared a look with you initially as well. Like, are you seriously?
Are you seeing this?
But
Yes, I'm seeing this.
but yeah.
Fucking how
So
dare you.
then again, recently in Space Jam, but weirdly, the one in Space Jam infuriated me more because there was this person right at the front row,
Yeah.
phone just
Constantly.
like this though, like
Constantly.
right in front of them, and I swear they had their screen at full brightness, and I was the only reason I didn't fucking in the end just get off my seat to go tell them not to stop it was because they weren't recording the film, and I thought I'm not going to bother getting up just to
No,
walk down there and tell this
but
person they're
still, in
frick.
that moment, I really just wanted to have a rock so I could just throw it into the phone.
Yeah,
Genuinely, like,
same.
and I'll be honest, like, it turned out fine, but there was a woman sitting in front of us with two children, and as the trailers were going, I actually saw her phone on her lap. and it had like the camera open. So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is you better not try anything.
That I saw that too, but I saw it was like a because the kid from Fast and Furious was properly recording, so like he clicked record and was videoing it. Whereas with her it was the camera, and I thought I'll let
She
that
put the
slide
phone
because
away as well.
she also may literally just go picture and then put phone away to then post later on Facebook. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
think that's fine. I can
So
give people a pass on that.
the beautiful thing is, she didn't even do that. She literally just like at some point grabbed her phone, put it in her bag, done.
Good.
No problems there.
Yeah.
But it's genuinely like it's honestly kind of appalling. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's weird.
I was this close. I was like so fucking close just to yelling out to the person in the front row, just shouting, "Turn off your fucking phone, you moron!"
You know what's the most
But there
annoying
were
thing though?
kids.
He wasn't the only one. There were a couple of other
He was
people
the
who had
only
the
one I
brightness
noticed.
lower and didn't do it as consistently as he did. But there were a couple of people who were on their phone throughout the film, and I was like, dude, really?
I think the thing is, I've noticed it's worse in kids' films
Yes.
because parents clearly, I don't think, want to be there. But it's reached that point now where I think I'm going to reach that stage where if I keep going to films with you guys and I start seeing parents get on their phone, I'm just going to get up and tell them, look, I know you don't want to be here, but you have two choices. Either stop being on your phone and respect the fact that there are people here who want to watch this film, or just get out and take your kid
Well,
and
yeah.
tell them you didn't want to go in the first place.
And also, if you don't want to be there, don't be there. Why would you show
Yeah.
a film to your kids that you don't even want to watch, like that you don't even show any sort of interest in? Why would your
Yeah.
why would your kids have? Well, because they like cartoons and fast cars. Like, no,
Yeah.
and show them an example. Like, when you're in the cinema, you sit down, you have your food if you choose to. Uh, you talk to each other like in the softest voice that you could possibly muster, if that. Like,
Yeah.
be entirely quiet. Even then, like, I'll be honest, like the cinema experience hasn't changed all that much. Like,
No.
there's still instances in the past that I can think of that
Oh
were
yeah.
arguably way worse.
Yeah.
Like,
It's always been present because I think I remember once I went to see one of the Star Wars films. I know someone at the very front with their phone out constantly, and I
yeah,
thought, oh, like the thing is, I can understand why parents do it in kids' films. I don't forgive it in any regard,
mm-hmm.
but I can understand. But I thought if you're here to watch Star Wars and you're on your phone,
And you're on
I
your own
can't
as well.
imagine. Yeah,
It's
like,
like, do you want to watch this film? Do you want to pay £15 to stare at your phone in
and I
complete
think
darkness, knowing other people?
I mentioned this before to you, but it was at one point I was on shift and there was a guy in one of the screens. And I think it was an early, not a super early screen, like a midday screening of like a horror film, like The Quiet Place or something.
Yeah,
And he was on his phone throughout like I think properly as well, like either texting quite obviously or properly on his phone. That's the one that I fucking get so infuriated when they're properly talking on their phone.
yeah.
I've encountered it once or twice, thankfully only, but still. But regardless, we went in there. We told him not to do it. But the thing that basically tipped it over the edge. So the guy who went into the screen to tell him to get off his phone came back out and told the manager, "Oh, this guy I told him to get off his phone. And he just said, "Oh, sure, I'll get off my phone, you fucking prick." And then the manager's like, "Wait, he told you, you fucking prick to you?" And it's like, "Yeah." And at that point, the manager's like, "Well, you're not going to abuse my staff because you're an asshole." So
Yeah.
then we kicked him out because we thought, fair enough.
Well, yeah, because this is one of the things that will always fucking blow my mind is people who are so clearly in the wrong can get so aggressive over things.
And the thing is, it's not even that clearly in the wrong. Clearly a liar, because as we were escorting him out, he was saying, "My wife is pregnant," and we thought,
And
so
you
what?
and and,
Lots of
and you're
people's wives
watching
are
a
pregnant.
film on your own, like,
Yeah,
oh,
lots of people's wives are pregnant as well. And
yeah.
then it was like something else, like, "Oh, my wife's in labor." I'm like, that's an entirely different thing. That means your wife is not pregnant. She's in the process of no longer being pregnant.
Well, no,
Why are
that
you
that means
here?
that means that she is in the process of
Of giving birth
delivering
to you?
your child probably, and you are here doing something completely different. So
Yeah.
also, I commend his wife in that regard because if she is in labor and also physically capable of texting, she is in fact Superwoman.
she's also probably not the one. I mean, his thing, he probably doesn't even have a. It wasn't even his wife. I think he said his girlfriend, and I thought, so she's probably a friend of hers is texting him. But even then, I stood there and thought, that's just a bold-faced lie, mate.
Yeah.
Because if not, you've just admitted to us you're a horrible person. Sure, you told one of our staff members to basically he's a fucking prick just because he told you to respect other people while watching the film by not being on your phone. So
Which was clearly
maybe he really does have a girlfriend who was in labor and he just
no.
decided he was that much of an ass. Or maybe he just wasn't welcome. That's the other thing. Maybe he's that much of an asshole that she just didn't want him there because he doesn't like him.
I think uh he doesn't have a girlfriend because no woman would like to fuck such a pussy
Yeah. Yeah.
unless they're gay. We don't discriminate. But even then,
Okay.
he's a cunt.
Oh, yeah. Either way, he was a. I think that's the thing. I've noticed. I think recently, since I started working with the cinema,
Yeah.
that customers really are often not quite nasty.
What he
Like
looked like?
there are some. Most of them are really good, and the ones that are really nice, I actually try to sort of think, if I could help you out with a few things here and there, I would because you're nice to me. Whereas those
Yeah.
that aren't nice, those are disrespectful. Thing. I wish we could honestly just ban you from coming to cinemas because I wouldn't want you here if I was a customer. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a bit of a problem as well.
like, uh, it. I don't think it's been getting worse. That's the weird thing. I think it's always been a problem.
It has been. I'll be honest, like I think my absolute worst experience, I think wasn't phone related. I don't know if I ever told. I think I told you. Um, it's when I went to see Deadpool 2, for the first time. I went to see it. I think a day earlier in IMAX 2D in Wimbledon,
Yeah,
and I was
yeah,
super excited for it because I love the first one to
yeah.
bits. And I couldn't wait until the second one, so it was finally time. And also, like I pre-ordered it as well, which gave me a cool little toy. So I was like, yeah, I'm fucking happy. The toy should be somewhere around my desk, but for some reason I don't see it right now. Anyway, um, I went in, and the film started, and there were like maybe 5 people sitting in front of me. I had a really good seat that day. Like it was perfectly placed in front of the screen. I thought to myself, nothing can go wrong. And so at some point, like the film is going on, and the guy in the middle of those 5 is like going back and forth between the two, right? And he's like talking quite loudly to them, and people around me are starting to like getting a little bit frustrated with him, and they say, "Dude, shut up." And I'm
Yeah.
thinking as well, like, come on, stop talking that loudly to your friends. Like we're trying to watch a film. And at some point, the two on his left actually go away and sit somewhere else. And I go, oh, that's weird. And then he keeps talking to the couple on his right.
No,
2 minutes later, they go sit somewhere else. I
they
go,
weren't with him, were they?
I don't think they're his friends. And he keeps talking. He keeps like making jokes. I bet he at that in that moment he probably thought he was the funniest guy in the world, but he was actually the most annoying person in the world. And let me remind you as well, this wasn't just an ordinary cinema experience, right?
It was IMAX. Yeah.
It was IMAX. I'm not like
Yeah.
in IMAX, you're not even supposed to hear anyone. And he was very audible. We kept complaining to him, and we kept saying, please leave. And at some point, someone from the staff did come, and did come to him and said, you're gonna have to stop, or you're gonna have to leave, because you're being a little bit frustrating to everyone else. And he respectfully left. Unfortunately, for some people, at that point, the experience was already so much ruined that they decided to take on his job as commentators. And I don't get me wrong, I really liked the film. I'm very glad I went because I have seen the film at least 4 times since. But I really hated that experience,
Yeah.
and no one should suffer through that. Like someone who like sits there and like makes this that, and then what was even worse is like the week after I was in the Netherlands, and a friend of mine hadn't seen that film, so I was like, great, I'll get a new experience, like a new chance to experience the film as it was meant to be. despite the fact that Infinity War was out
All
at the same
intended.
time. And I kind of was like, okay, well, why don't we just go watch Infinity War? But and yeah, the same thing happened. Not as bad, but like it was literally at the end scene where like Deadpool is dying, and then someone shouted, "He's not dead!" And it's like fucking hell, man. Just don't. Why would you say that? This isn't the room. This isn't
Yeah,
that kind of thing. Like we're not that kind of friends. We're not friends at all. I don't even know you. Stop talking. All right. I don't want anyone to, like. No. Let me rephrase that. If I go with people and they want to whisper something that they like a funny observation that they make during the film, I will accept it, and I might
yeah,
even do it back.
yeah,
But if it's a complete stranger shouting it atop of everyone else, I don't want that.
yeah.
That's why I go to the cinema, is to be focused on whatever's happening in front of me.
I think the only time I think those moments are acceptable, and you pointed out one of them is films like The Room.
Yeah, because there's an etiquette to it.
Yeah, there's an etiquette to it, and other films where like they are generally so bad at this point, the only thing the audience can do to enjoy is just all fucking make fun of it. Like The Room. Those films, it makes sense because that's almost part of the party piece of the film.
Yeah,
But for any other film like Infinity War, Deadpool, whatever, no, no,
no.
it's not acceptable
You go
at
there
all.
to watch the film. You
Yeah,
paid
exactly.
money to watch a film in
Yeah,
silence, and
yeah,
you know, and it's similar to there was this one other time that I now remember. It wasn't similar. It wasn't nearly as bad. But there was this one time where I went to see Isle of Dogs. Right.
okay, yeah,
It was an afternoon screening, and
yeah,
there were a lot of families with children. Right, which is understandable because it's a family film.
yeah, yeah.
And the moment that the dogs were introduced in the film, one of the parents turned to their child, pointed at the screen, and said, "Oh, look, a doggy." And in my mind, I was like, "You dumb bitch. You dumb bitch.
How old was the child?
How dumb are you to think that your child would not be able to recognize a dog on a screen? But also that you had to point it out in an area where you're not supposed to talk."
First things first, how old was the child?
I don't know, like 6, 7.
Because I just think I've noticed
The Isle of Dogs is
there's
not
a
a family
point.
film. It felt like it. I don't know. Sorry,
I'll
go on.
look it up in a bit, but yeah, like
I'll look it up.
because
You keep talking.
yeah, because like the thing is like with just look up the age rating of the film because that will determine whether or not it's meant to be a family film or not. But anyway, like if kids are like stupid young, like 3 or 4, and
PG
parents point
13.
that out, so yeah, it's parental guidance. So yeah,
Yeah.
um, it's kind of stage where I think if someone points it out to like a 3 or 4 year old who really is a dumb kid who will go, "Ooh,
Then you don't bring. Then
doggy."
you don't bring them to. No, if the child did it, I would have found it annoying, but still acceptable because a child will do that. A child is unpredictable, and a child will like say things during any point that they're not meant to do. Like the kid in front of us that was like doing all these like weird movements and like being fucking hyper throughout the film. I kind of accepted that because it's a child
Yeah,
and it didn't bother me that much.
yeah,
But when a parent does it, someone who is meant to show them the proper cinema etiquette, which I
yeah,
really care about because look, going to cinema, I don't want to sound like this is like the pinnacle of being human, but it is part of like the human experience, right? It's going to a show. It's like going to the cinemas, like going to the
yeah,
theater, going to all these places where your attention is vested on whatever's happening in front of you.
yeah,
There's an etiquette to it because part of it is like the whole idea of experiencing what's happening in front of you and removing yourself from that experience. You're not the funny
yeah.
one. You're not the interesting one. Whatever's happening in front of you displays itself as it does.
Because it's that thing where I think you wouldn't ever do any of that sort of shit if you were going to watch a play, ever. And if you did any of that shit, like get on your phone or
Yeah.
talk throughout it loudly, you would have been kicked out within probably mere moments,
Yeah. Also,
without
you'd be
without doubt.
surprised. People do that.
Yeah, I guess that doesn't surprise me. But
Yeah. I've
I
I've
think
actually
also,
I've actually been in a not a proper play. It was like an improv play.
yeah,
Um, where basically, so this was like it was called philosophical theater. And what it
okay,
was basically with our philosophy group, which was about 5 people, we created these scenarios where each plays a particular character, and then we talk about something, and then we kind of naturally progress
yeah,
to a sort of point where we have talked about something, and it could be about theology, it could be about meaning of being good or morality or whatever, but it was
yeah,
kind of that. And so one of my then friends had a monologue, right? And this monologue is about um I don't remember what it was, but there was a particular question in play. I don't remember exactly what the question was. It'll probably pop up in my head in a bit. Now, you know that like when someone is acting on stage, right? They are acting on stage. They are in the moment. But if there is a fourth wall usually,
yep,
and if they are asking a question in a monologue, it is entirely rhetorical, or it is a question that they're asking themselves.
yeah,
The group of 14 to 15-year-olds perfectly understood this. The group of 16 to 17-year-olds perfectly understood this. The group from 12 to 13-year-olds did not understand this. And so every time she posed a question, they would answer. But we're not asking them to answer because they're not part of this and the beautiful thing is I was in a row with her at the time. So I
yep,
enjoyed it thoroughly. I
yep.
thought it was the single funniest thing that had happened all year. But she
Was
didn't.
this at was this at school?
Yeah, this was several years ago. This was
Okay, I'll,
8ish
I'll,
years ago.
I'll talk about this in a I'll talk about that in a second. But carry on.
Okay. But basically, fuck, what was the question? I don't remember. Like,
Is it really that important
it
to the
wasn't,
story?
but it just adds to the whole thing. Like, basically, she would ask something, and they would say like, yes, and it's like, no, but I'm thinking about it, and like she would just break down. She wouldn't know how to deal with it, and like I'll be honest, yeah, at the time it was very funny to me just because of the like outside context and the sub lore, but like in real life, no, it's fucking annoying. This is why, like, one of the things that stand-up comedians need to learn more than anything is not just like how to present their material, but also how to deal with hecklers. Because how do you deal with a heckler? You know, sublore, yeah. How do you deal with hecklers? And everyone has their
Yeah,
different way of doing it, but the core of that, the point of that story is you shouldn't have them in the first place.
yeah. Because I'll point out a few things that just run through me with the story,
Go on.
and it's first and foremost, one, it's in school, so who really gives a fuck? It's not a real play. No offense to your philosophy group, but it's not like they paid for a ticket and they got a glass of wine just before and then sat down in a chair to experience it. No, no, this is probably something all those 12 to 13-year-olds were forced to sit down and watch, even though they really probably didn't want to. Let's be fair, because we've all been through that.
One, fuck you. Two, you are correct.
There we go.
They were entirely forced to, yeah.
So,
Guys of
and
Philistine doesn't understand true school art.
uh, and let's be honest, the ones that mentioned that were quiet were the oldest, and therefore, without question, the ones that have been taught properly, most respected. The other ones were fucking young and still stupid and thought dick jokes were still funny. To be fair,
Yes, but I will bet
14 and
you,
15-year-olds probably still think dick
I will
jokes are funny.
bet you, it was probably like 5 of them that thought it was okay to do that, and the rest of them who thought it was okay to do that because 5 of them thought it was okay to do that. And
Yeah,
so when they saw the chaos like like
erupt. Yeah,
erupt, they added fuel to the fire.
Yeah. And next up, it is the responsibility of the teacher to then go, and if they do nothing, it's probably a teachable moment of going, this will teach the student on stage who is improving how to deal with hecklers. She's not handling it well. God damn it.
So the teacher did step in because it wasn't a drama class.
There you go.
So kill the five. Yeah, okay. I don't. I don't
Yeah,
know.
Ron. Kill the five. I mean, it's a hard hitting play. They must be taken seriously.
Again, I enjoyed it so much. I thought it was the funniest thing. Oh,
Hindsight, you think is
no. I do want to say, having said that, I have changed. I'm not that spiteful anymore. I like if I don't really like someone, I do want them to at least perform well, because humiliation is something that no one has to like. That's not true. Sometimes you have to be humbled, but if you
Tammy, I'll
deserve it,
admit.
uncouth.
Sorry, go on. Uncouth. I mean, I am an Australian, so we're not the most couth people, as it were.
You guys are discriminating by using words I don't know.
Uncouth. It's basically like another term for uncultured and.
Oh, fair enough. To be fair, I'm also not very cultured. I think I just make a very good impression.
I can use that as an excuse, Tammy. I can and will.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
like going back to just the general sense of audiences and all of them being complete
I think
shits.
teens are probably the worst though still.
Oh no,
Like with all
absolutely.
things said, because the person I had to deal with in Deadpool was an actual like I guess he was like 30 years old or something, like in that
Yeah,
range.
yeah.
Um,
So
teens are the worst because they
there
don't give
was
a fuck.
yeah, I can't remember what film it was. I think it was like The Conjuring recently,
Yeah,
and
you
there
did
were a
tell
group
this.
of
Yeah,
the group of kids in the back that we had to kick out because they kept talking throughout the film.
yeah,
And basically, the ruling is you go up there and you warn them the one time because they have paid for a ticket. It's only fair that they get a warning to basically stop, sit, and be quiet.
yeah.
Second time
That's
at that point, you think you've got to go because we warned you. You've not listened to us, so you leave.
yeah. That's one thing that I am willing to complain about. During Fast and the Furious, there were a couple of girls sitting behind us that were talking throughout the entire fucking thing,
Yeah,
and it
I'll
was
be
a
honest.
bit annoying
It was a bit annoying, but I'll be blunt. It didn't bother me as much.
because you didn't like the film, but that doesn't
Yeah,
matter,
pretty much. I just
bro.
didn't give a shit
Okay,
about the film.
it's because you don't give a shit about the family. That's right. I'm
I
framing
don't give
you.
a shit about fake family, Ron.
How is
I
it
give a shit
fake
about real
family?
family.
How is it
Unlike
fake
Vin
family?
Diesel, who never cared about his brother.
That is not true. He thought his brother killed his father. I think that's a pretty good reason to oust someone from your fucking family. Look up. It's called fucking Shakespeare and Greek
It's called
tragedies.
patricide. I think it's called patricide, where you murder your father.
Yes, but also when you oust your brother for doing so, that's called a Greek tragedy. It has happened before in the past,
I'm very
and
good at
people
turning
like it.
people out. What are you good at turning people out? Oh, Tammy.
Oh, tuning people out,
Oh,
as
tuning
in
people out.
like not hearing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to be fair, actually, I was able to tune them out relatively well. I think the issue is, and I don't like this, but I think I've kind of gotten used to it at this point. I
I
think it's
I
just,
I've gotten very unused to it because I haven't been to the cinema properly in a while.
yeah, no, that's it. But going back to the thing that bothered me with The Conjuring
Yes.
is, I think about like 15 minutes later, we got a woman who came out to us and said there were two girls in the same screening talking and giggling. And I thought, for fuck's sake. And at that point, I was kind of fed up and done. So I went in there and I just kicked them out straight away. I didn't issue them a warning, which I should have done, but I just kicked them out. We then later discovered afterwards because their mother called saying, "Oh, they're very young. They're meant, they're 14. They're meant to be, you know, they shouldn't be out on the streets or whatever." And I thought, wait, they're 14? And I just thought to myself, their mother's just ousted them because I
Yeah.
then said that I asked the mother, what film were they supposed to go and see? And she said, Cruella. And I said, okay. Why did I find them in The Conjuring, which is a 15 rated film that neither of them should be in? And at that point, she still tried to push, like, "Oh, but can't you just put them back in Corella and tell them to be quiet?" It's like, no,
The
because not
film's
only have they
over.
talked, no, the film is still going, but it's more, not only have they talked in a film, they've gone to a different screen, which they are not old enough for, and after I kicked them out, the first thing they did was run from the screen to the toilet, and I immediately knew that they were going to stay in there until their mother came by to pick them up. So I
Yeah.
got a female member of staff, to go in there and kick them out because I just thought, no, I'm having none of that. You guys have wasted enough of my goddamn time.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out. But
Nah, I'll be honest, like I'm willing to blame the mother
oh
because
yeah,
I think parents, okay, maybe not parents, right? Because I'll be honest, cinema etiquette wasn't taught to me by my parents. Simply for the
it
fact that
was
with
for
my
me.
parents, I didn't go to cinema a lot with my parents. Like sometimes with my mom, but my dad just um
Didn't care.
principally he doesn't like going to the cinema. He much prefers watching films at home. The reason is because the majority of cinema experiences that he's had recently were all really shitty.
Fair
And
enough.
like the last one he probably believes was the worst one, where we went 3 years ago. This was in Portugal. We went to see The Incredibles, the second one,
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
and it was a very shitty cinema in Lagos. And basically, throughout the entire film, like the back door that everyone came in through was open because it was so hot that they didn't have like any ventilation in the
aircon
room,
or
so they had to keep the
wow.
door open. So not only
Okay.
did the light spill into the cinema, but you could hear everything that was happening on the street. And also, it's The Incredibles, so there were fucking children all over. And he just thought it was really annoying. And he said, "I like the film, but I much prefer to just have waited until it comes out on like a streaming
Yeah,
service or like DVD or something, and just watch it at home." So he
yeah,
he doesn't like cinemas. He doesn't like going to the cinema. He said the only
yeah.
reason for him to go to the cinema is if I make a film and it comes out in cinema, and he's like, okay, well then I'll go. But like that's not gonna happen anytime soon. So um,
You never know. Never say never.
I'll be honest.
I
I've
just
been.
said you never know.
That's true. Um, but first I have to work on one. Uh, the
Just
the the majority of cinema etiquette that I've learned is also not particularly from school, because in school, elementary school, middle school, I used to go to cinemas with the class at least once a year or
yeah,
something like that. But the kids were really annoying and they were like kind of all over, and I did kind of just want to watch the film, but everything around me just kind of didn't really
yeah,
inspire anything. I was fortunate enough that I had one friend that was also really into like going to the cinema and watching films and stuff like that. He's a
yeah.
friend of mine that I'm still in touch with, and every time I'm in the
Okay.
Netherlands, I try to visit him. Um, he's also the friend that I've seen most of the Marvel films together with, like starting from the Avengers, going all the way
Yeah,
up to um, I don't even remember, but like even some of the recent ones.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so and I used to go to films with him a lot, and when we went to see the Avengers, we were quite lucky because we were
Yeah.
the only people in the entire cinema. So it is still one of the better experiences that I've had
Yeah,
in my life. Um, but obviously, when we went to other films, um, there were more people, so we were forced to like behave. So,
yeah,
and I'll be honest, he has ADD and he has he has Asperger's, and he has all these like concentration defuncting
yeah, yeah,
thing.
yeah.
If he can still sit still in the cinema, anyone can.
Yeah,
I swear to
absolutely.
God,
There's no excuse at that point.
like I've never seen him more well behaved than in a cinema seat.
I I wonder if it is that tunnel vision that essentially the darkness gives them. Maybe that could be a thing because I've noticed that with a lot of them. A lot of them are very generally very well behaved.
Also because he wanted to go to a film with me because he wanted to see the film.
Yeah,
I think that's a big
but
part of it. And
that is a big part of it.
and
But
I remember, oh, there's all these horrible experiences that are not just popping back in. Like I remember
yeah,
when I went to see Thor Ragnarok, there was a guy sitting next to not me but the person I went with, and he couldn't stop laughing to the point where like he would slap his knee every now and then. And it's like, who slaps their knee when they laugh? That's that's fucking Who
That's
does
out of a
that?
cartoon. That guy apparently.
Apparently, it's just all these things, and I'm just like I'm glad that I know better. That's all I can say.
Yeah, because I'll say weirdly, as of recently, we started like getting a lot of school groups that started coming to the cinema, and I think it was just before school wrapped up. I think it was like an end of like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
school free. So we had a lot of big groups of like over 100 people, and they got the whole screen booked out. But that's the thing, the school groups got it just for themselves, so like there weren't other people in the screens. Because I thought, my god, the fucking average cinema goer will hate this if they find out this is school screening and they're sat in there with them.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we do that. But the thing that surprised me and I actually really liked, I don't know if they were well behaved during the screening, but the other thing that I did like and I appreciated was the teachers made sure they cleaned up after themselves.
That is awesome.
So they went to the staff and said, "Hey, can we have some rubbish bags? We'll clean up once we're done." And the staff went in there. There was pretty much very little to clean. And I thought, that's good because I think it's important for teachers to actually teach students to behave in cinemas or any event they go to on the principle of basically telling kids, like, if you don't behave, we aren't coming back
Yeah.
ever. They won't let us back. Because I remember there were times where I went on school trips with my high school group. We went to like on trips to France, and some because they think it's funny and they think that makes them look cool, and they just like a couple of people got wasted on one of the school trips. And at that point, we were basically, because they got drunk, underage, and in France, basically it meant no more school trips to France. And I thought, well,
Yeah, they
there
caught
you
me.
go. We're the group that will be remembered as the group ruined it for everyone else because
Yeah,
of one fucking idiot.
literally. I
Yeah.
I never had any of that kind of happening. I went to Berlin with a group, and I think that's still just like, yeah, fuck it, let's have like one drink. And I was like, yeah, that was a pretty good evening. But like hanging out with the
That's
kids
it.
there, I'll be honest, like in the cinema they were mostly well behaved. They sometimes they were kind of like being a bit of a prick,
Yeah.
but it was kind of okayish.
Yeah. There's that my internet being crappy or is that something wrong with the stream?
What do you mean? Oh
Because for
no.
me the stream is frozen.
Oh, it might be my internet. Fuck.
Yeah. Tammy just asked, did the stream die?
Let me try restarting. Fuck, it's dead. What do I do? It just fucking died. But it's still going. I don't understand. What the hell?
Yeah, that's bizarre.
Try this again. Let me let me end the stream.